Hey guys, welcome back to Money Breath Magic. I'm catching you from outside my mom's backyard this week. It is beautiful in Florida, so I thought I would get out, get a little sunshine while we talk. Something you may have heard about if you're in the manifestation world, self-development world, but I want to shift your perspective a little bit and teach it in a way that you may not have heard yet. What we're going to talk about today is an abundant versus a scarcity mindset. Most times when we hear about an abundant and scarcity mindset, most things out there are really touching on how it's in the mind. But what I want to share is that this way of thinking, this way of being is not just a mindset. It's actually an internal state that's living in the body, that's living in our nervous system. And if we don't shift that energy in the body and in the nervous system, we are doing ourselves a disservice. So today we're going to talk about what exactly is an abundant and scarcity mindset. What does that even mean? How is that impacting the way that our external reality is showing up when we are living in a scarcity mindset, how this is living in the body, how it's impacting our nervous system, which is therefore impacting how we show up in the world. I'm going to tell you a fun story about somebody that I met when I was in Egypt last year who portrayed the embodiment of an abundance mindset so beautifully. And then I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and tools and strategy of things that you can actually do to start shifting yourself out of a scarcity lack mentality and into a more abundant state. So stay tuned for that. All right. So first, what exactly is abundance? What exactly is scarcity? Abundance is the state of being, the internal knowing, the belief system that there is more than enough, that there is overflow, that there is more than enough for everybody. And this isn't just about money. So often we hear and we associate the term abundance with money and wealth, but this is in all areas of our life, our relationships, our business, our health. Abundance is the state, the belief system, that knowing that we have more than enough opportunities, there's more than enough wealth and money, there's more than enough love, there is more than enough to go around for everybody. Scarcity is the exact opposite of that. Scarcity is the internal feeling, the state of being, the belief system that says there is not enough. There's not enough for everybody. It's this fixed pie mentality where if you have more, I believe that leaves less for me. There's not enough opportunities to go around for everybody. There's not enough resources. It comes from this state of needing to hold on. I'm too scared to let go of anything that I have, because if I let go of something, there's a potential that it's not going to come back to me. It has a lot of control with it a lot of the times, where we think that we can control these outcomes to where we won't lose something. Scarcity also can show up in this way where you tell yourself that, oh, I'm just being responsible, when really it's coming from fear, where I'm making this decision to hold on to something because it's the responsible thing to do, when really underneath that is it's coming from fear, a fear of lack and not having that. If I let this go, I'm scared that it's not going to flow back to me. And why it's important to understand the difference between abundance and scarcity and how we're actually being and how we're operating is because when we are operating from an internal state of lack and scarcity, that is what we see and experience in our external reality. We've touched on this in prior videos, but our internal state is what is creating our external reality. So when we are living from a state of abundance and overflow, we start seeing opportunities. We start seeing that there is more than enough in the world. You start getting more ideas, channeling more creativity, start meeting more people that can connect you with more resources, more support. When we are coming from this place of there's not being enough, that is quite literally what we manifest in our external reality. The thing is, that's pretty wild about abundance and scarcity is I've worked with clients who a lot of people would say are pretty abundant if you looked at their financials for their business. They're making tons of money in their business. There's lots of overflow. They have big fat profits, but they still have this feeling of it's not enough. I just don't feel like it's enough. So you could have this state of being in overflow and still have an internal state of it not feeling like enough. On the flip side, you could have someone that's living in extreme poverty who really doesn't have financial resources or wealth and a fat bank account, and they could be living from a state of abundance and feeling like I have everything I need. It is an internal state of being. It is not the amount of money in your bank account that dictates whether you're living from an abundance or scarcity way of being. So this takes me to the experience that I had when I was in Egypt last year, and I went on this amazing month-long trip to Egypt. This is not by any means like an advertisement or sponsorship, but I went with Manifested Adventures. If you are a woman who wants to go on a trip that will absolutely blow your mind, change your life, I highly recommend going with them. I love Londa, the CEO. I've gone on 3 trips with them and they've all been life-changing. So we went on this trip to Egypt, and part of the trip is we floated down the Nile River for like 7 nights, 6 nights, something like that. And part of that experience was we stopped and we met with a woman and her family who lived on this island that was on the bank of the Nile. And we walk up to her home. So we get off the boat and we have to go down this like long dirt road. It's like surrounded by banana trees. And we take a left and we go down this more winding dirt road, and there's cows on the side. And then we come and we walk up to their home, and you look at this home, and from our Westerner perspective, most people would look at this home and say, wow, they are living in poverty. You know, it's this home that's made out of cement or stone, and part of it doesn't have a roof. The floor is made of dirt. You know, there's animals everywhere inside their home. There's chickens and roosters and goats and cows, and it's her husband, her children. And yeah, it's really hot in Egypt, okay? And so we got to sit down with her, Ozma, and she was just this beautiful soul. I mean, her energy when you just walked into her home was so inviting. It was so uplifting. She was just this beautiful, positive spirit that just, you were lifted up just by being around her. She was joking with us and picking at us and making little fun. She was giving us all like little nicknames, and she invited us into her home to bake bread with her. And she had this outdoor oven, and she had like 15 different loaves of bread. So we sat there and we baked bread with her and laughed and joked. And what I'm getting at is she was living her life from a state of abundance, and she dropped so much wisdom on us. Part of the things that she said to us was the way to live a beautiful life is to take it easy. And she gave us the advice of just live who you are, be who you are, show up in the world that the way you are. Like, you only have this one life to live, like just be yourself. And she was full of so much wisdom and vibrance. And the thing is that we walked up and again would have seen like scarcity, someone that you would think would be living from this state of fearful, like I don't have enough, you know, like I need more. But she felt like her life was fulfilled. She had everything she needed. She had her family, her water source from the Nile River, her crops and her animals that were feeding her. And she had her time. She had her freedom. And she truly lived and had this internal state of abundance, which was like such a reminder to me that abundance is a state of being. And, you know, if we think about, you know, I have my water bottle right here. This water bottle is full of water. There's like some electrolytes in it. And I could sit here and say, okay, if I'm coming from an abundant state, I can drink all of this water right now. The sun's shining on me. If I want to guzzle this water bottle down, I don't need to drink it slowly. There's no like feeling in my body that I'm scared that I'm going to run out of water. I can easily walk inside, fill up this water bottle. There is no feeling of like, I'm going to run out of water. I'm scared. I need to hoard this water. Put me in the Sahara Desert, which, fun fact, I was in the Sahara Desert on this Egypt trip that I went on. I might have a different perspective on this water. If I'm in the Sahara Desert and I have this feeling of, I don't know when I'm going to find another water source, there is not an abundance of water around me, I'm fearful for my safety, I would be treating this water in a different way. I would maybe be rationing it. I would be sipping it slowly. I would be making sure that I'm saving more to where I don't run out of water, because I may need it in the future, because I don't know when I am going to be safe and have another influx of water to nourish my body. That is because our nervous system knows that we are in that situation in the desert in a place of potential danger, that there is a threat to my survival, there is a threat to my safety, to my life if I don't have water. What happens is people are living from a state of their money and treating it like they are in the Sahara Desert. They are treating their money as if there is a threat to their safety. They treat money as if money is not going to flow to me. I need to hoard my money. I need to hold on to my money because there is the potential that it may not come back to me, that I may lose it all. When we are living from this state of lack and scarcity, what we're doing is we're signaling to our body, to our nervous system, that there is a threat. There is a threat to our life, that we are in danger, that we might die. And what happens is our body, when we're under these threats, we go into the stress responses, which are called fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. You may or may not have heard about these, but these are the stress responses that we move into whenever we feel like there is a threat for our survival and safety. When it comes to money, and when it comes to anything really, is when we are under a threat, our brain can only focus on short-term thinking. The number one thing in that situation when we are under a threat is our survival, is our safety. And so we are narrow focused. We can only see the short term, what is in front of us. We have to keep her safe. The reason why this is a problem when it comes to money is when we are approaching our money this way, we aren't able to do long-term thinking. We aren't able to see the big picture. We aren't able to see other opportunities that might just be in our peripheral vision, but we are so narrow focused, we miss it all. Aren't able to tap into other resources that we have, like our creativity, into new ideas, into big thinking, into big picture visioning. We aren't able to tap into our intuition because we are so focused on survival. All our body thinks is threat. We need to keep her alive. The reason why this is an issue is we need to access our creativity. We need to access our intuition, that long term, that big thinking, so we can come up with new ideas to create value in the world, to show up in the world in different ways. When we add value to the world, that is how we create more abundance. That's how we create more wealth. That's how we attract new opportunities, meet new people, by showing up in the world in a different way. So therefore, when we are constantly living in a state of lack and scarcity, that is what we attract into our lives. That is how we behave in our lives. Those are the actions that we take, actions that are only going to keep us alive. And what this looks like in business is we end up making decisions that are so narrow-minded, so short-term thinking, and in a way to where we're like actually sacrificing our true desires and needs. So what happens is we start underpricing our services because we have this feeling that we can't find clients who are actually going to pay us the true value of our service. We start taking misaligned clients because we say, oh, well, maybe there's not going to be another client that's going to come in, so I'm just going to accept this one. And then we do work that doesn't light us up. We start working with people who aren't like a good energetic match for us, that start sucking us dry, who start taking advantage of us, who don't appreciate the work or the value that we offer them. We start getting scared of spending. And so this looks like not investing in resources or support for our business, not investing in ourselves in coaching or mentorship or a new piece of equipment or something that's going to move our business forward because we are so scared to invest the money. Another big one that I see, and a lot of people don't think about this, but if we think about scarcity and being this like hoarding mentality, one thing that business owners do that I see all the time is they actually hoard their knowledge. I'm not going to show up and tell the world all of the knowledge that I have. I'm going to hoard it because if I show up and I tell everybody everything I know, nobody's going to hire me. That's coming from scarcity. Another way that I see this show up in business quite often is comparison and jealousy. What I mean by this is, say you're a coach, you're in the coaching industry, and there's another coach that you're aware of out on the interwebs, and you're constantly comparing yourself and finding yourself feeling jealous of that person's success. Say this person is sharing their wins on social media, and like, okay, side note, let's all just know that not everything on social media is the full truth or completely true. But besides that, this person is sharing their wins. Maybe they had this like huge sales month that they're sharing on social media, and you find yourself being jealous and having ill thoughts towards this person and saying, well, okay, fine, since they got all this success, that means that I can't have it too. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. That is coming from scarcity. If you are living from an abundant state and you have someone who is your competitor offering a similar service to you and you see them being successful, celebrate their success. Because you know what that means? That means that there's actually a market for what you're selling. That means that there's actually people out there that want to pay for what you're offering. That means that if this person has success, then so can you. That's what an abundant person would actually say and feel and see when they see somebody that is successful doing the same thing that there's 8 billion people on this planet, okay? There is more than enough to go around. Just because one person is having success does not mean that means that there's less success for you. If that's your way of thinking, that is coming from scarcity. So it can show up in these like weird little ways too. Like if you find yourself like not wanting to treat yourself, even if it's just to buy yourself a coffee, that's coming from scarcity. It shows up in fear and doubt and worry and not believing in yourself. I know when I started my business a few years ago, I was in a corporate job and I was doing a lot. It was a very tough job. I was an executive at a big corporation, and so I had a big job. It was a lot of work, and I was building my business on the side. And what I knew was if I wanted to build my business to a place where I felt good, so I could finally leave this job, I was going to need support in my business. So I made the decision early on in my business to actually invest in help. If I were to be approaching that from a scarcity mindset, I would say, ooh, I'm not making enough in my business. If I pay somebody to do the work, then that's going to cut down my profits and it's going to take me longer to be able to leave my job. But that's not how I saw it. I saw it from an abundant point of view. By hiring support in my business, that opens up more capacity for me to implement systems in my business, which are going to be needed to scale. It's going to open up more capacity for me to take on more clients and prove to myself that I can have the influx of business, that I actually took the leap and quit my job before I replaced my income fully. But by being able to hire support and put in systems, that showed me that like, yes, it's possible. There's more opportunity out there. So when we're coming from scarcity, we're scared to make moves like this. I'm a huge proponent of investing in coaching and mentorship. I've invested thousands in coaches and mentorship throughout my journey because I know by me investing in different skill sets and improving myself and having support and leaning on others who have already built what I want to build, that's only going to get me there quicker, faster, and have someone just to hold me accountable and to be my cheerleader and support system. We need to start recognizing the ways that these patterns are showing up in our lives. Because again, when we are embodying the aversion of scarcity and lack, that is what shows up in our external reality. One way to look at scarcity and abundance and the difference in them is scarcity always thinks in or mentality, and abundance always thinks in and mentality. And what I mean by that is a scarcity mindset looks at two things and says, I can have this or that. An abundance mindset says, no, I can have this and that. And this is one thing I've also been working through in my own life as I've become a digital nomad and I'm traveling around the world. I am affirming to myself that I can have a successful, wildly profitable business and I can travel the world and have time and freedom and flexibility to go see different sites, have my freedom to work when I want, not work when I don't want. And they are both possible. Some old school mentality will tell you, no, if you want to build this successful business, you have to work 24/7, weekends, you have to always be on, you have to be saying yes to all opportunities, and that's just not true. The way that we do this and mentality, is we have to create the capacity in our bodies to be able to hold both. Another example is, you see this pretty often, is women who want to become mothers or are mothers, want to be a mom that is present with their child and have a wildly successful business. The scarcity mindset and the scarcity approach to this would say, well, that's just not possible. You can either be a present mom with your child, or you can have the wildly successful business. So we need to learn to approach the things in our life with this and mentality, seeing the opportunities and knowing that it is all possible. It's just creating the capacity and the ability to hold more. And the way that we do that in our business is we implement systems, we hire help, we have offers in our business that support the and that we want in our life. We're intentionally curating our business to meet this and reality. That's the thing about abundance as well, is everyone wants more abundance. Everybody wants more wealth. Everybody wants more money, more opportunity. But the thing about that is the more abundance that you have, it comes with more responsibility. And you have to be able to hold that responsibility, and you have to be able to have capacity to take on all of this additional abundance that you want to generate in your life. And so if you want more money, more wealth in your life, how are you operating with the money and the wealth that you have in your life right now? Do you have money systems in place? Do you have a structure in place that you know what you're doing with your money? If you don't know how to handle $10,000 right now, what makes you think that you're going to know how to handle $1 million? This is why when people manifest and they end up generating a lot of money and they don't have the knowledge, the system, their nervous system isn't regulated, and they don't know how to hold that much money, they end up spending it all, they end up losing it all, they end up running through all of it and end up being right back where they came from. If you are working to create more abundance in your life, whether that's love or relationships or money or more clients or more freedom to travel the world, you need to start owning the responsibility of what you currently have in your life. You need to start seeing your life as abundant right now and having the systems and structure in place to hold what you have now, so you can start building the capacity to hold more. So some things that you can start doing now to start shifting from this lack and scarcity mentality into a more abundant way of thinking, being, and living. Number one is you have to have self-awareness. You have to be noticing when you're coming from this place of lack and scarcity. So this is paying attention to the language that you're saying. When you're going throughout your day, are you constantly saying like, I can't afford that, or that's too expensive? Instead of saying, I can't afford that, shift that and say, no, how can I afford that? Scarcity comes from limitation. I can't. Abundance comes from this place of how can I? So start looking at your language, the way that you're speaking, and the way that you're actually interacting with money. Second thing is, one of the biggest acts of abundance that I think exist is actually giving. When you give, that is letting go, that is blessing somebody else, and that is trusting that it's going to come back tenfold to you. So whenever you're looking at your money systems and say you get deposits from your clients and you know, okay, I'm going to pay this much towards taxes, this is the amount that goes to me, this is going to covering my bills, I challenge you to set aside something, doesn't matter how much, maybe a percentage or a small dollar amount that you can actually give. Give that money to an organization that you care about. Give it to your community. Give it to someone in need. Get in the practice of actually giving. Giving is the ultimate act of abundance, because I know when I give, I am trusting in God. I am trusting in the universe to bring that back to me. The third thing is we want to get in the body. Like I said, we hold all of this tension, this anxiety, this fear, this guilt, this shame, this doubt. We hold that in the body. And so we need to move that energy out of the body. One of my favorite practices that I do before I get on a big sales call or a big client call is I do some shaking. Put on a song, put on your favorite song that makes you feel good, and just start shaking. Shake your arms, shake your legs, shake your head, shake it all. Whenever you feel anxiety, shake it out. This is what animals do. Whenever an animal gets into a stressful situation, like a deer gets chased by like a tiger or bear or whatever, after it gets away from the tiger, what that animal will immediately do is it'll shake, because what it's doing is it's exerting, it's getting rid of that stress, that trauma out of the body. We as humans, we don't do this. Whenever we encounter a stressful money situation, or maybe in our upbringing, we were, in a stressful environment, traumatic environment, it all stores in our body. So we need to move that energy. So start doing a shaking practice before you're feeling anxious or before a big transaction that you have to spend money. Do a little shaking, get rid of that anxiety, get the jitters out, move that energy. Another embodiment practice that I absolutely love, and it's in the name of my YouTube channel, is breath work. I love breath work. It is so good for releasing anxiety. You can find all sorts of other videos on YouTube. I'm also going to be creating some as well, so stay tuned for that. It helps us move those traumas, the triggers, the emotions, the energy that is stored in the body. So also start breathing. Another way that you can embody this is practicing letting go. Maybe find one thing this week that you can actually let go of. Like we talked about, scarcity is this hoarding energy, like holding on to stuff and things is another big way that we are embodying scarcity. Come on, ladies. How many of us have a closet full of clothes that we keep saying, oh, I'll wear that one day. I'm going to save this for maybe this one day I'm going to wear this thing. That is coming from a state of scarcity. Go in your closet, go in your junk drawers, let go of something. We don't need to hold on to all of this stuff that's actually blocking us energetically. I can tell you, when I sold all of my stuff, when I left Chicago and I moved to Bali, it was the most expansive feeling. It's interesting that when you get rid of a bunch of stuff, I actually felt even more abundant in my body. I sold a bunch of stuff, so okay, there was actually some cash monetary value that came in, but I also gave away a lot. And again, the act of giving is like the ultimate act of abundance. I felt so abundant that I could just give away all of my stuff. I wasn't fearful that I wasn't going to be able to purchase it again whenever I needed it. Just take it. And just knowing that it was going to people in need, people that would actually utilize it when it's been sitting in my closet for God knows how long, it was the most freeing experience ever. So I challenge you this week, go find one thing, couple things, go clean out something, go donate it. I'm positive there are people out there that could truly benefit from the things that you aren't using. Next, I want you to start a gratitude practice. I'm sure you hear about this all the time, but gratitude is the ultimate way to tap into abundance. When we are feeling grateful for what we have in our lives right now, that is signaling to the universe that we are so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what is in my life. And when we are feeling the emotion and the feeling of gratitude, we attract more things to be grateful for in our lives. And this isn't just like writing down, okay, I'm grateful for these 3 things and move on. Actually feel grateful. What are you grateful for? And bring that emotion, bring that feeling into the body. One of my favorite affirmations that I say all the time is, the more gratitude I feel, the more appreciation I experience, the more love and opportunity I attract into my life. Start identifying things that you can feel grateful for every single day. And the cool thing about this is our subconscious mind knows if at the end of the day, I'm going to try to remember things that I felt grateful for today, it's going to start looking for it throughout the day. And so you're going to go throughout your day and you'll be like, oh, that's something that I feel grateful for. And you're starting to embody that emotion constantly throughout your day. When we feel grateful for what we have, we aren't living from this place of lack. When we're constantly thinking of what we don't have, what's missing from our life, we are coming from this energy of lack, this energy of separation, that we don't have enough. That attracts more of that into our life. Start feeling grateful for what we have right now. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is, I challenge you this week to find something that you can treat yourself with. It doesn't have to be something big. It could literally just be like your favorite coffee or your favorite meal, or buy yourself a steak or something that feels special, that you can celebrate you. feel excited about and treat yourself. I do see that there's always a lot of resistance with the people that I work with of actually spending on themselves because they don't feel like they deserve it. Or again, it's that scarcity mindset, like, ooh, I haven't earned this. They feel like they can only spend on themselves when there's something to celebrate or something that they've earned, or yeah, that they're not worthy of this thing. So find something this week that you can treat yourself. And we shouldn't be waiting until the final goal is met to actually celebrate ourselves. Like in my case, like launching this YouTube channel, I can't wait to celebrate until my channel is actually what I want it to be. I can't wait to celebrate until I've finally mastered and I've created beautiful videos that are engaging and amazing and like edited perfectly, and that I'm actually like conveying my words perfectly. Like, no, I'm celebrating myself for every single video that I post, whether it's perfect or not, because I showed up. Like, we need to celebrate the milestones on the way. That's also signaling to ourselves that we have an abundant, fulfilled life, that we have what we want and what we need right now. It's signaling safety to keep going, keep producing, keep channeling the new ideas, new creative ideas. Celebrate ourselves now. Don't wait until the thing, because again, you're just signaling that there's lack, that there's separation, that there's scarcity, that you are not that thing right now. Whether it's just, again, like a little coffee, a little candy, little chocolate, steak, whatever it is, go celebrate yourself. Find one thing this week to treat yourself. All right, so there you have it. There's our breakdown between abundance versus scarcity and how that's showing up in your body, in your nervous system, and some tools, tips, tricks. I hope I gave you some homework that you can implement this week to start shifting and implementing in your life on a daily basis to get you out of scarcity and into the abundant way of being, not thinking, being. So I hope this was helpful. I have some really cool things planned for February. We are going to be doing a series of how to actually start building a relationship with money, because that's what we are all about here. Is we are not avoiding our money. We are actually having a relationship with it that's going to create more abundance in our lives, more joy, more blessings, and more appreciation. I hope you got something interesting out of this conversation. Now I'm going to go enjoy more of this beautiful Florida weather, and I hope you all have a great, abundant, amazing week. Talk to you all later. Bye.